Hikaru Nakamura won his game against Nijat Abbasov. It was an interesting fight, and somewhere in the time travel, it seems that things were messy. So maybe you could take us through your thought process.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing is that this was one of the ideas I'd prepared for the tournament. It's not the only one, obviously, because I played a different idea against Jan earlier against Petrov. But I mean, I thought this was very, very interesting line. I know, I mean, there's some stupid chessable course by Anish Giri where he barely mentions this line because he doesn't put his best stuff in it. But anyway, I mean, I think somewhere around here, I mean, I think Nijat had looked at something similar to this, maybe not this exact position, because when he went for this A5, rook A6 line, like I had seen some line where black goes A5, A4 very early. I don't know if it was this exact position or what, but I think he kind of mixed it up because I have a feeling already here I was much better. But basically, this is the start of the problems. Like I spent a lot of time here where, I mean, again, just like yesterday, I was up 20 minutes on the clock. And then I spent, I think, like 25 or 30 minutes on queen f3 because, I mean, I just couldn't make up my mind whether to go queen f3, whether to play f4. I mean, it was, or even b3 already here. I wasn't really sure what to do. And so I spent a lot of time. I played queen f3, which I think was fine. b3 was fine. I mean, I don't actually know. I mean, I can also just go like rook e2 and rook e1 right away without b3. But I thought it was reasonable, at least, because here I open up this file. It's a question of whether the file is worth more than this diagonal towards this pawn and this knight. So I go knight f1, he goes a3. But one thing that was confusing is around here he also started moving much quicker. So I was kind of confused if somehow we had transposed back into his preparation because he's making these moves very quickly. Like basically from a4, I think like a4 takes, of course, and some move, but he played a3 and then he played rook e6 very, very quickly. And so I was at the board, I was a little confused because I thought maybe somehow we were back in preparation. Like somehow he'd seen this exact position. But luckily for me, I had this knight g4 move, which was very important because I was always a little bit worried about these g5 knight e4 ideas. I wasn't, or even like and let's just say I play something here like g5, bishop g3, and knight e8. Even this is it's very murky. What's going on, or maybe even like knight e4 potential with like f5. And so I wasn't really sure. But once I got this knight g4 move in,
did you consider just knight e3 in this position? Actually, that's the one that.
Yeah, but it's so hard to judge because I thought. I thought there was just maybe g5, bishop g3, and something like knight e8 or something like this. I mean, it looks terrible. The problem is, like, if I don't see a win here and black gets f6 or f5, suddenly all my pieces are going backwards again. It's like it's a situation where I can play this and just trust there's something, or I use time and probably don't go for it if I don't see the concrete plan. So yeah, so I played this knight g4, which I was very happy because now I thought there's no risk. I get the knight to e3. I mean, I have g5 coming in, and it should be just really, really easy to play. Then to his credit, Nijat found some moves that I was not expecting. Like this move caught me by surprise. And it's important that it caught me by surprise because I started using too much time. Like here I spent what? I spent a bunch of time. I spent like, yeah, after takes. I mean, I spent like 18 minutes.
Almost 20 minutes, yeah.
And I mean, this was my first instinct that I could have played this move in like 3 minutes. But I used so much time here, which was stupid because after knight c8, then I couldn't figure it out. I mean, I guess g5 is what I should have played with this line. I mean, I actually saw this position, but for some reason, I didn't want to sack the rook like this. But apparently, I mean, because of course, I've done a few interviews now. I mean, I know this is winning, but I just couldn't work it out. And then I played bishop f4, again, a terrible move after like a 7-minute think. And yeah, now I think it's still okay here, but once I go g5 and I overlook this bishop g4, h5, it gets very tricky because it becomes a game of the knights, whose knight is better. And already here, I had a feeling that I could very easily lose the position.
Yeah, around this time, it became really double-edged somehow.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere here, like bishop c7, I think is supposed to be quite good for black. I mean, I was actually very worried about this during the game, but then he played this queen e7 move, which, I mean, also the worst part about this is that most of his moves were surprising me. So, like, they were moves that I wasn't calculating. Like I missed like even queen e7. I did not expect this. So when he's playing, yeah, it was a long time, and he's playing all these moves that I'm not expecting, and so I was very concerned. But luckily, I spotted bishop e5, and after this, now I think black's in a lot of trouble because it's bishop c7 here. Now there's rook b7, which just simply pins the bishop. I mean, all these pins are really critical. So he played queen e6, and I mean, with 3 minutes on the clock or 5 minutes, whatever it was, like I just played knight g3. I mean, I'd already calculated this before he played the move, but I just simply. I think computer gives knight e3 maybe as winning, maybe even queen a, maybe takes in queen a3 or something like that. But I just want to make sure that there's no way I miss a move and I make it to time control because basically after knight g3 these moves are all forced. This is all forced, and then I played rook b5. Also here I wasn't sure if there's a better move, but I just knew that after here takes in queen e3 it's an endgame. Like it's an endgame. I can never lose, and I'm better. And then you just play it after time control. And once we reach time control, I mean I think the endgame was basically lost. even though he has a bishop and 2 pawns for the rook, because this knight is just dead. It's just a dead knight here. And yeah, I mean, he played h4, but I don't think the game was really ever in doubt here. Basically, after knight e2, bishop e3, rook a5, once I win the pawn, and go rook a8. I mean, the rest, there's really not much more to be said. You just push the a pawn down the board, and I mean, he struggled on, but it's just hopeless because this outside pawn is simply too it's too much. So yeah, so I mean, I got this pawn going up the board, and then he resigned on move 58, and yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, thank you, Hikaru, for taking us through the game. I think you already done a bunch of interviews, so probably don't have any more questions. Or maybe Ulrich, you want to ask something? Just quickly, no? If not, maybe just one question.
Yeah, just I asked you briefly. You played online chess yesterday, and you said in order for better time management.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I played some blitz games just to try and get some better feel for what was going on. Try and move quicker, anticipate moves, and hopefully it would help me with the game I played today. In the end, it didn't help me with the game today, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, and also had some fun against Giri in the beginning of the game, so probably we can expect some Twitter encounters.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, to be honest, I did almost no preparation for this game. I mean, I pretty much I had looked this line, so I had looked this line very briefly the other day before deciding to play something else against Jan. So I almost did no preparation for this game. I simply showed up and tried to play, and went from there. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, went pretty good. Thank you, Hikaru.
Sure.